Hey all, Siege here, and to all the Guardians and the Tenno, I want to ask you a question. What are you most interested in? Righteousness or reward? How intrigued are you at the idea of changing sides to get it? Look, it's no secret the Guardians aren't strangers to temptation, and definitely have a history with flirting with the darkness or similar means. Many of the Guardians made bargains with the Imkara, the conniving wish dragons of destiny, most notably Eris Morn, who, instead of accepting her death as a hero after her impetuous assault against Crota on the moon failed in spectacular fashion, used the forbidden practice of wishing on the bones of one of these creatures to save herself. The vast majority of Guardians really aren't even that brave. They've only forgotten their fear of death, which both Zavala and Ikora show after they lose their light, with Zavala fleeing to Titan and Ikora openly admitting her fear and how it's overtaken her.
After all these years, dying, being reborn, dying again, the Traveler has left me with one life, and I am afraid to lose it.
Then, of course, there's Dredgen Yor, a revered and powerful Titan who existed before our time. You know, where all the interesting story shit in Destiny seems to be. Anyway, Yor fell to the darkness out of, you guessed it, fear as well. Although, his was a fear of not being able to continue to protect as he saw necessary, and inevitably became the very image of what he swore to destroy. Here's the thing about that, though. Yor's dilemma is strangely familiar. Die a hero, or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. It's easier to empathize with than I'd care to admit. And he allowed himself to be killed for the sole purpose of passing on a new truth to his potentially unwitting apprentice in Shin Malphur. In their famous duel, if you even want to call it that, he never moved during the fight, never even motioned to his weapon. He embraced his end because he knew it was necessary to incept his idea, prove to his opponent he would absolutely die for his truth, and in doing so forced Shin to question himself. The truth was simple. Nothing ends, which he whispered to Malphur just as he expired, the exact thing he originally heard after climbing out of the pit on the moon, having been pushed just enough to begin his descent into darkness. What I believe he understood is that in order to have hope, one must believe that a perfect utopia might be possible to achieve and even better maintain. However, more often when faced with an existence without conflict, without progress or something to overcome, people tend to create their own struggle in order to determine a meaning for said existence. The Guardians in particular have a long history of war amongst themselves when there wasn't something else to fight, always searching for power and glory in their quest for peace. But their intentions were righteous in nature, essentially fighting for those who couldn't fight for themselves. However, pit against an enemy that will never stop and seemingly never die, some resign themselves to the grim truth that no matter what they did, no matter how hard they fought or how often they won, the fight will never end. Which is what the good man Razel Azir, Dredgen Yor's former name, may have finally realized, and it changed him, because that was his mission. He fought to end the fight, but if the fight never ends, then why continue? Or rather, why continue the fight the same way you've always been fighting? And with that, he turned to another power, something he now believed was stronger and could maybe do what the light could not. If the leaks for Destiny 3 are anything to go off of, there's a really good chance that things will revert back to how it was when the Guardians first formed, then called the Risen, having to deal with rogue light bearers like the Drifter, and a lot less in the ways of rules and manners. Oh, and one more quick tip. Keep your eye out on Shin Malphur. Even he knows that he's been cursed like Yor was by his famous last words, and much like Yor, there could come a day when the truth becomes too real to bear, and another will fall, most likely why he felt the need to reach out to us, so that when he finally breaks, we can be there to meet him like he did with Yor. The only thing I'm struggling with is, does he give us the last word to stop him from embracing the darkness? Or is it a trap, much like the ones set forth first by Xior, the wizard on the moon, and then mimicked very similarly by Yor on Shin Malphur himself. Maybe this is the setup to whatever powers or classes might be on the way, because really they always felt like a when, not if type of thing. With that in mind, now let's take a look at the Tenno. Something I picked up on when I was watching the Rel webcomic is that not all of the Tenno, at that point at least, seem to be very friendly, specifically with Rel, and I'd find it hard to believe that all of them got along. I mean, all you need to do is take a look at regional chat for 5 minutes and you'll know, not think, no, that's definitely not the case. But I have to ask, whose side are the Tenno actually on? We're enemies with the Grineer, the Corpus, the Infested, Sentience, Arlo's group of crazies, Stalker, the Orokin, Alad V. We're immortal mercenaries that occasionally help people out, like, those in the plains in Fortuna, but every other thing we've done in game has had some benefactor, be it the Lotus, the Syndicates, Darvo, Konzu, Crazy Bellyface, Personal Space, and who the hell even are you? Tell us where to go, what to do, what to get, who to murder, etc., etc. Yeah, that's right. All those people see no issue at all telling teenagers to go out and kill. So the next time you think the Lotus is all hugs and kisses, and maybe more from some of you sickos out there, just remember, she sent us out daily to murder everyone she needed dead. Or was it the Orokin? The Lotus may in the end be even more screwed up with us at this point, so really trusting anything she said now or in the past seems kind of foolish. And consider that, as far as the Tenno go, we just seem to kill indiscriminately. Corpus here, Grineer there, maybe a dog, cat, fish, robot. If you can think of it, we've probably killed it, and in more ways than you can possibly imagine. We murder randoms and assassinate specific targets. We steal shit, run interference while somebody else steals shit, illegally drill without permits, bounty hunt, break people out of prison, and
I will not forget this, Tenno.
on those last two in particular, I have to ask all of you out there, do you know the history of any of these people? Do you know who this guy is? How about this person? Do you know why we're kidnapping this person here? Worst part is, we aren't master assassins or ninjas at all. We pretty much do it the Iron Man way, just landing inside any ship. Still not sure how we get clearance to land in those ships, mind you, but then we typically race through to whatever objective we have while fucking everyone up in the process. Because we're stealthy, And maybe I'm off on this, but as a general rule of thumb, keeping one's identity a secret as an assassin seems pretty essential, and yet literally every faction or person I've come into contact with has my email address, and one even visited the ship. So the element of surprise left a long time ago. About the only decision the Tenno have made on their own was to figure out what happened to Umbra. That's it. So our paths obviously aren't very clear to us, outside of course from meeting with the Lotus, and even then, what happens next? If she did come back, would you be comfortable being her errand boy or girl again? We've been on our own for a while now, and regardless what happens, knowing what I know, things aren't going to be the same. And without having a firm direction, not only is it possible that the Tenno could turn evil, isn't it also equally possible that we're already the evil? Devils, as we've been called? Or at least have been deceived or complacent enough to the point of just doing the dirty work of, well, everyone in the system. Good or most likely bad. I mean, generally, decent folk don't put out murder contracts, right? The Stalker had, or still has, a burning vendetta for us. And why does the Lotus refuse to tell us about our past? First, we were led to believe we were just Warframes, then the true Tenno were uncovered, next our true connection to the Warframes, the Warframes' history, the fact that when the adults on the Zariman 10-0 went feral, the Tenno made prisons for them and hunted them in kind. Why would you hunt your own parents? If prison would do, mind you. Aren't you also, stronger than them at this point? Were they even your parents? What do you remember of the Zariman? And why does everyone in game seem to want to hide our past from us? Just giving you some food for thought. And again, I'm going to ask you all, what are you most interested in? Righteousness or reward? because you may just be either put to that decision in the near future, or learn that that decision was made long ago, maybe through a bargain of sorts.
You mad at me, kiddo? Did you forget? You owe me.
It's already been leaked in Destiny, and the choices that the Tenno make in the major quests really have to be leading to something, don't they? So let me know where your loyalties lie in the comments. I'll be curious to read them. At any rate, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful rest of your week. I'll talk at you in the next one. Bye.